Joining me now, Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor, president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers. Thank you and welcome back as always. Your response to the judge's decision in this case, were you surprised at all? It seems as though the Trump team saw this coming.
Marnie, we're shocked. I can tell you that I'm at my alma mater, Harvard Law School, and just discussing with the professors here this morning. Everyone thought Trump was going to win, but on presidential or executive immunity. For Judge Cannon to rule that the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith was unconstitutional, that's going to have effects that reach much farther than this case. Although she said her ruling is just limited to this case, we know that Hunter Biden are probably doing backflips right now. They're probably very happy because it just doesn't affect Jack Smith. That same logic applies to special counsel David Weiss. And she ruled that because Smith and other special counsels were not appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate, it violates the appointments clause of the Constitution as well as the appropriations clause because Congress has to dole out money. There can't be an indefinite appointment or appropriation.
So what's the next step here, Neama? Does this go as far as the Supreme Court?
I think it does. I think Smith will certainly appeal, and Judge Cannon has been overturned twice by the 11th Circuit already, even though it's fairly conservative. And if it goes all the way to the Supreme Court, I think only Justice Clarence Thomas has really kind of given this argument any credit. I think that there's a high likelihood that Judge Cannon gets reversed on this ruling. I think there was many other ways she could have dismissed this case, and I think immunity would have been a much easier route. But to throw out the appointment of the special counsel entirely, I think that's a bridge too far. So I wouldn't be surprised if she gets reversed yet again.
How so? Why was the bridge too far?
Well, she's saying that the appointment's unconstitutional, but special counsels have been appointed in cases like this for decades. And so for her to say that this appointment was unconstitutional because Biden had to make the appointment and to be confirmed by the Senate, that's something that really goes against all legal precedent in all other cases where a special counsel has been appointed. A lot of lawyers and law professors thought that this was a fringe legal argument that most judges would have rejected outright. And Judge Cannon has gotten a lot of criticism for making some very questionable rulings. A lot of folks thought that she didn't have the experience to be a federal judge, even when she was appointed. And I think this decision is going to continue to raise those same questions.
And how does it impact the other cases that Trump faces?
It doesn't necessarily have any precedential impact because these decisions have been, these arguments have been rejected by other judges and really outright as a matter of hand. And the fact that Judge Cannon was even considering this argument and held a hearing to do so. Again, we're talking about some fringe legal arguments. I don't think that this logic and this reasoning will apply in Judge Tanya Chutkan's case in D.C. Obviously, that's the D.C. election fraud case. In Judge Mark Scarsi's case in Los Angeles, where David Weiss is the special counsel prosecuting Hunter Biden on tax charges. Let's not forget, the U.S. attorney in Los Angeles, where I live, decided not to take up that case. That's Martin Estrada. So unless there's a special counsel who decides to prosecute Hunter Biden in Los Angeles, that case isn't going anywhere. And I don't think those other federal judges will agree and will consider the same argument. But now you have a split where judges are making inconsistent rulings. We're likely going to have a circuit split as well, potentially, if the 11th Circuit actually affirms this. And that's how decisions like this end up in the Supreme Court.
And what does an appeal look like in the immediacy in a case like this?
I mean, immediate appeal. The case has been dismissed, so Jack Smith has 30 days to appeal. I fully expect him to appeal this week. In a matter of days, it's going to go up, and there's going to be a 3-judge panel of the 11th Circuit that's going to decide whether this order was illegally valid or whether this was an abuse of discretion, whether it's a judge that doesn't understand our Constitution and the appointments and appropriations clauses. And then potentially, if Jack Smith loses, he can petition for a hearing en banc. That means the entire 11th Circuit, not just a 3-judge panel, would potentially hear the case. That's a discretionary appeal. And of course, we know the Supreme Court also has discretionary appeal jurisdiction. But again, when you're talking about constitutional issues of significance like this, I wouldn't be surprised if this decision ends up before the Supreme Court and yet another Trump-related case will be heard by the justices during their next term.
Boy, and the timing of all of this, certainly not lost on anyone. Neama, thank you for helping us. There's a lot to understand about the complexities of this case and this decision. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Marnie. Thanks for having me.